And just like that, we're back with another edition of your weekly wisdom. I'm Zach Pitts. Great to have you here. And with always the one and only Coach Mike Basovic. How's it going, Coach?
Good, buddy. How are you?
So far, so good. The sun is out, and it's a beautiful day here in Dayton, Ohio. And you're in Florida now.
I am in Florida now. We came down, got here yesterday for the winter, and we'll go back and forth a little bit. But the fall in the Midwest has been beautiful. I don't know about you guys in Ohio, but in Illinois, the weather's been spectacular.
Yeah, the temperature has been perfect, and now the leaves have been changing. I went for a little drive yesterday, and through just a rural area where there's a ton of trees, and it was just so beautiful. And actually, for the first time, as I was driving, I was like, "This really is a pretty sight. This is a gorgeous sight to see." I don't know, maybe that's what happens when you get older. You're like, you start taking
start appreciating more, or when you like you live in gratitude. You see that kind of stuff. So, looking forward to today's important subject. And as always, folks. We always say this. We forget to say it. We say it at the end. If you like what you're hearing, like it, hit the subscribe button below, share it. And but then when you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified whenever there's new content. We're going to start pushing out a lot more new content. And this is the way the world works, right, guys? So the life is an inside job. And we're teaching you on these videos what the mind is, how the mind works, and most importantly, how to bring the mind to peak efficiency. Getting the mind to work in the direction you want it to every day. It's essentially, I tell my clients, if I gave you a genie in a bottle, Zach, you've heard me say this. If I give you a genie in a bottle and you place the bottle on the counter, how many days, and you have to open that bottle, right? That's essentially us doing the work to get that genie to work. How many days in a row would you open the bottle? And the answer is always what, Zach?
You do it every single time.
Every day. So when you master the mind, there's an energetic force at play. But the subconscious mind, when you are in what we call a high vibrational place, it literally is going out to assist you, to help you, and you'll achieve everything that you want to accomplish. And that's all the tools we're giving you on these videos. When you're in a low vibrational place, fear, anxiety, stress, worry, overwhelm, inadequacy, you're not good enough, then your mind is literally keeping you stuck. So you've got to master the inner world if you want any type of outcomes in your life that are meaningful. So like, subscribe, and share. All right, buddy.
All the things. Yeah, let's jump right into it. When I think about just myself and obviously all the clients who have come through the program and anybody who just comes into our community in general, where they are is a culmination of their beliefs and habits. They are where they are because of a series of actions that they've taken over and over and over again. And really, if you want to change your result, you have to change your habits. You have to start there.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to change your habits. And you mentioned beliefs. You have to change your beliefs because the problem with most people, even successful people sometimes, they're addicted to their daily routines, but also their to-do list. And people thrive with a to-do list. And that's okay that everybody should have a to-do list. I've got one. But when you're addicted to it, people think they're being productive. And a lot of times they're just putting out fires every day. And but if you're going to change your habits, that's a good goal to have successful habits, but you've also got to change your mind. You've got to change your beliefs. You've got to believe. You'll never experience something in your life ever if you don't believe it's possible. It's impossible to do that. Now, if you do somehow experience it, it's going to be fleeting. It'll be temporary. Think about it. If you think relationships are tough, or maybe you've been jilted in a relationship, and all of a sudden you meet somebody that seems great, you will subconsciously self-sabotage that relationship because your belief at the core is relationships are tough. So you'll literally eventually self-sabotage that relationship. So in order for you to have a great relationship, you have to first form a belief about having that relationships are easy. And it's not, if you've had difficult relationships, you've had subconscious imprints, if you will, from those relationships that leave a mark. Right? And so now you believe something because a series of events happen in your life that have formed a belief. The first daily habit is to change the belief that you hold about the outcome that you want to get. Because doing all these things in to-do lists, but you really believe it's not happening, it'll never happen. Take the salesperson that's grinding it out, busting their butt every day, trying to make things happen, and nothing happens for them. And then you take the person who seemingly never works, everything falls in their lap, it's easy. And why is that? Because they believe it's going to be easy. They believe that they're selling, they're a machine, they're confident, they're certain. And all that is a byproduct of the subconscious. So I always encourage, well, you know this with our private clients, all the work initially is done internally, and you change those habits first, and you start taking care of the mind, and then you start to develop the successful habits externally.
Now, I know that somebody's going to be watching this, listening to this, wherever they're consuming this information, and they're going to ask themselves, okay, well, yeah, I know what I need to be doing. Easier said than done. How long is it before a habit really takes hold and it becomes part of who you are? It becomes part of your character. It becomes part of your operating system.
Yeah, I think, they say 21 days to develop a new habit. I think anything consistent, Zach. If if anything that you do consistently, you're going to eventually want more of it. And like a TV show, we're watching The Penguin right now, which is really a terrific show. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's terrific. And I told Kelly this morning, we watched it last night. We had it recorded from Sunday. And I said, I can't believe I got to wait another week to watch it. And I was thinking about it today, because whatever you give your mind, and if it's emotional, good or bad, it's going to give you more. So think about developing a habit. The more you give your mind something, the more the mind literally craves it. So working out's a good example. When people start working out, sometimes it's a chore to get to the gym. And after 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, maybe, they start craving it. They can't wait to go to the gym. And they think, I can't. But then when you get off track, then it's hard to get back on track. I know, you're pretty much a gym rat, but I know you've experienced it, because you said to me, I really got to get back to the gym at one time. I think you call it the shred shed. And so,
Shred shed. And what do you call it again, Huh? What do you call it again? You call it the health club.
The health club. Anyone that we call it the health club. You call it the gym or the shred shed. And but when you get away from it, man, it's a chore to get back to the health club. But then when you're there for 4 or 5, 6 days, now it's a habit again. Always look at your subconscious, where all your habits, all your beliefs, everything's stored. It's your computer system, but it's driving your behavior. It's creating your thoughts. It's creating your emotions. It's creating your actions. So it's really difficult if you're in a state of being of lethargy or laziness or overwhelm or stress to take good, healthy habits every day. It's really hard. If the subconscious is in line, you're fighting it every day. So you've got to teach the subconscious some new habits. And sometimes there's action steps involved, but it always starts with our beliefs. It starts with our state of being that we're in every day, and we've got to do the work there, and then it becomes easier. So the habits, again, we start internally. We've been talking over the last several weeks about a diet for the mind. We talk about beliefs, developing new beliefs always. And when you start to really do the work internally and you start believe it's possible, and you get a clear vision, always go to a vision, right? You have to have a clear vision, goals, and most people don't. It's unfortunate. We get on breakthrough calls with people and say, what do you want over the next year? And they just say things like, I don't want to be anxious. I want to be stressed. I'm like, no, I'm talking about next level relationship, next level business, next level finances. What do you want to experience? And get them clear. And they don't even think like that because they're so consumed with their daily rituals. So we've got to have a clear vision. What I want to experience in life. Then we've got to develop a cemented belief that it's possible. Then we're going to in turn get into a state of being of flow, the zone, acceptance, as we call it. And now every action you take is going to be fruitful. It's going to be moving you closer to your goal. And think about people that are grinding out, and don't get to their goal. It's because they don't believe it's possible somewhere along the lines.
And I really believe that the cheat code to believing it's possible, and obviously you've talked about this many, many, many times, but act as if. And I don't think I shared this with you. The other day, I woke up and I said, okay, listen, if I'm going to hit the income goals that I personally want to achieve, if I'm going to live that lifestyle, I have to start acting like it now. So that day, I got up, I scheduled a time to go test drive a Mercedes just because.
Beautiful.
And later on that night, I took myself out to dinner, threw on something like dressed up really nice. Beautiful. Threw on like a sports jacket, dress pants, ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, got that surf and turf, had a couple drinks,
Love
and it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, for me, and I know for countless other people, that's where it starts. Having the belief that, yes, you can have it, but if you don't believe you can have it and you're not taking those actions, you're never going to develop the habit.
Well,
so
yeah,
acting as if is huge.
And I love that you did that for yourself. And I always say, because they say act as if. I say be it now. be that person now that drives a Mercedes, that goes to the expensive restaurants. My wife laughs at me because I will not shop at a discount store. I'm all for getting a good deal. I'm from Chicago. I want a deal. I want to have a guy, and I've got a guy for certain things. But I just believe in high quality, and I have those standards of myself, and those are my expectations. But I became that person, and so be it now, and live in authenticity with it, and the external world will catch up. It's a really powerful process. But what you're doing, Zach, when you're being the person that already has the Mercedes, that has the fancy dinners, that believes a high self-worth, you're showing your subconscious mind proof. And the more that you show your subconscious mind proof that this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what we deserve, you're developing a new belief. Now, once the subconscious, your co-pilot, believes it, now it drives your actions, but it also acts like a magnet. And it starts drawing things into you and you to things that start getting you to your goal. So it's a very powerful thing, this, being that person. I hate, the term in self-help is act as if, but I don't want it to be a pretend game. I want to be it. So if somebody says, I'm not happy, all right, how does a happy person act? And they would give me a list of things. Well, a happy person smiles, and a happy person laughs, and a happy person is pleasant, and they open doors for people, and they say hello to people, and they have conversations. And they're just, so everyone watching this video, or anyone that's going to watch this video, can tell me how a happy person acts. Great. What's preventing you from being a happy person now? Well, I've got this problem in the office, and my kid just went to college, and the other kid's a pain in the ass. And it's like all this stuff that people say. Great. You got that stuff. And that's a byproduct of who you've been. You're attracting all that. So what's the problem with just deciding to be happy and decide that? And then have a belief that everything goes my way. Life is easy. Everything unfolds beautifully as I go through my days, and start developing that belief. And if you look at what a belief is, as I said earlier, it's just a prolonged series of continual thoughts that we've had about life. And a lot of them stem from our childhood and experiences we've had. And so people become their parents a lot of times, or things we've spoken about in the past. But so if you've gotten this rigid belief, it's almost like making a decision. I decide life is easier. I believe life is tough. That's a decision I make every single day. And you're making a decision. Hey, I'm taking the next level wealth, and the Mercedes, the G-Wagon is going to be mine, or whatever it is that you want. Great. Okay. You've got to convince that subconscious mind now by showing it proof, not lying to it, showing it proof that this is why we deserve it. This is why it's possible. And eventually, when the subconscious mind buys into it, now you've got a firm belief, and that's going to drive your behavior, and you cannot, you'll achieve your goal. It can't not happen, because we're working with the universal laws of human behavior. So you'll achieve it without question.
There's something I want you to emphasize a little bit more, because people say, well, I can make the choice to have this habit. A choice, from what I've learned, is far different than a decision. A choice, it's like, okay, either or, maybe this. But when you decide to do something, that's the path. And
no
for
question.
me personally, having that distinction, making that distinction of, no, I'm deciding that this is where I'm going. That means no retreat. Go for it.
None. The only reason goals fail is because people give up. And when you make a decision, number one, that you're worth it, the steak and lobster, whatever else, the great relationship, the financial abundance, the freedom, the happiness in life, the good friends. Once you make a decision that this is my birthright, abundance of everything, love, peace, happiness, finances, and you make that decision and you commit to it, it can't not happen. But most people just give up. They let the daily grind just beat the shit out of them, and it just wears them down. And we talk about our private clients all the time. Resistance builds up every single day. Emails, texts, responsibilities, projects you're working on, meetings you have, deals you're trying to close, kids you're trying to get to events, a spouse you're trying to stay happy with and connect with, and not kill each other as you go through your day. And all those things build up, Zach, and the resistant energetically expands and shuts us down. That's why so many people are stressed. They're not sleeping at night. They're fatigued during the day. They're overwhelmed. They can't see straight. And it's because energetically the resistance is so strong they can't even function. So we get rid of all that stuff. But then on the other side of that, as you mentioned, once you make the decision to have something, and you understand it, you have the resolve. This is it. This is the life I want, and I will do this. I will do that. Whatever the goal is, then you're going to have it if you don't give up. And yes, you're going to have challenges and potholes and difficulties and bad days. You're going to have that stuff, but you've got to move through that, and you've got to stay resilient and committed. And then once the belief is formed, as we said, that's the habit that I would encourage everyone to get to. Then you can't not get it. And there's other daily habits like we've got all these fitness people that are these self-help gurus, and they're fitness people, and every day they go out and grind it out. And that's wonderful. There's just some people out there that are not fitness gurus. They exercise, they might go walking and stuff, and that's okay too. And so when we think habits, we think working out, we think making the sales calls, we think, and those are all great things, but those are, again, action steps, and the action steps are important, crucial. Okay. If you want to accomplish something, however, you've got to make sure your inner world's dialed into it, or you'll never achieve it. Or you might get a goal, and then you'll revert back to who you've been.
The one thing I think is important to mention here, and before I mention this, if you're watching live right now, if you have questions, please chime in. This is part of a conversation. We want to keep this an open dialogue. We want to keep this engaging. So if you have questions you want to ask Coach Mike directly, please weigh in. But the question that I have for you is, well, not really a question, but really the importance of, you make a decision, you're going to do something, because you haven't really solidified that habit, that belief, to not beat yourself up if you trip up a little bit. Yeah. Because I think that's what's going to stop people. Like, again, hey, I want to work out every single day. I skipped a day. And then because you're feeling bad, you skip the next day, and it becomes a snowball effect. Yeah.
Well, the judgment, I think we did a recent video on judgment, didn't we? The judgment's just absolutely, it's a dream killer. The self-judgment. I screwed up. I shouldn't have eaten a cheeseburger. I shouldn't have missed. I can't believe I missed 2 days. When I get overachievers into our program and they send me their vision, it literally will say, work out 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. I'm like, what are you doing to yourself? How could you set that goal? You're not even working out right now. When you're in a state of being of self-judgment or inadequacy, that you're not good enough, you're going to find things to beat yourself up about. And that's, again, because that's the way the subconscious believes. The subconscious will get you the result. But when you develop a belief that you can have something, then it's going to happen. And you're still going to fail along the way. I mean, think of any success story. I don't care who it is. You think of your favorite actor that grinded out for 10 years doing small stuff before they hit it big. I watched Rainn Wilson. He was Dwight on The Office, right? He played Dwight. And he said in this interview, he says, 2005, I paid my rent on a credit card. And we're watching it. And he was young at the time. And Kelly and I looked at each other. I was like, who hasn't done that when they were young? Everybody, And he goes, I paid my rent on a credit card, and I had no money, and I had no fame, and I had no nothing. And then I become Dwight. And he had no self-love. He said, then I became Dwight, and everyone loved me. And he goes, they don't even know me. And but anyway, so the financial, but here's a guy that was grinding it out and plays and everything he can, and all of a sudden he hits, but he didn't give up on it. You know what I mean? He had the belief, and he stayed committed. Talk to musicians, Queen. There's the famous story of Freddie Mercury laying on the floor of his buddy's studio apartment, but he knew he was a superstar. He just wasn't experiencing it yet. And but he didn't give up. So many people give up on their dreams because it just takes too long. You've got to make the decision that you're going to have it. You've got to stay resilient, and you've got to develop that belief that not only you're going to have it, but you deserve it. Self-worth is another killer. So many people, I don't know why, Zach Pitts would deserve to drive a Mercedes and Bill Smith doesn't. It makes no sense. And why would somebody experience this opulent life when someone else would struggle? And if we're not experiencing something we want, whether it's a relationship, whether it's finances, whether it's a fulfilling career, or just financial freedom, and if we're not experiencing it, then it's usually a self-worth issue and a belief issue. And that's where the habits need to be formed.
And I think that's what a lot of high performers tend to struggle with, is that self-worth, because they hold themselves to such a high standard, and God forbid they don't hit it one time, and
Oh, yeah.
that regurgitates over and over in their mind. So it's very easy to get stuck in that cycle.
Find someone in this world. Find someone in this world that hasn't made a mistake. And especially successful people. The difference between successful people and non-successful people, and I'll say non-successful people because it's not just finances. Success is contentment. It's freedom, freedom of choice. I get to spend my days how I want. It's enjoyment in my career. It's if you choose to be in a relationship, being a great partner, having a great partner. If you choose to be a parent, being fulfilled there. Friendships, socially, volunteering. All of that is success. And then you throw in the money too, but people are so consumed with that you say success, money. That's just a small piece of it. And every uber successful person will tell you, I failed. And they failed in their personal life, they failed in their business life. They just move forward. They don't obsessively revisit them. I told somebody this morning who I've been working with as part of a corporate team that I coach, and he's finally through it. And I told him, I said, it looks like you've broken up with history finally. He goes, I have. And it feels amazing. Now he's free because every day he'd go back and beat himself up over the mistake, beat himself up over the mistake, beat himself up over the mistake. And I was telling him, if you're doing that, you're going to get more of it. You're going to literally tell your mind to give you more of it. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who keep reminding you of the mistake when you're trying to move forward, it's going to keep you stuck. It's like the storm wants to move, but you've got a rope holding onto the storm cloud over you. It's not going to go anywhere. So it's really important that we don't do that. Everyone fails. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, move forward with the decision, with the commitment that I'm achieving this goal no matter what.
All right, as we start to wrap things up here, I think it's always great to give the audience some action steps. Obviously, we'd love to see them inside the community at some point, but what kind of advice, Coach Mike, would you give somebody, or some action steps where they can start implementing those habits that will ultimately change their life? Obviously, as you mentioned, it begins with a belief.
Yeah, Zach, let's make it easy. I'm gonna challenge you here too for that Mercedes.
All right, deal.
Everyone here, pick one goal. One goal you have in your life. And Zach, it's going to be, I'm going to have a Mercedes inside of 3 months, 6 months. And I know right now I said, well, 3 months, the mind will go to belief. Is that possible? Is it not possible? Whatever you choose is possible. Okay, so you'll pick your goal, Zach. Number one, pick the goal. Number two, develop the belief. Make the decision that you're going to do it. Period. End of story. And number three, convince your subconscious mind that it's possible. Okay, by showing it proof. Okay, how do you show proof? Find proof of other people that have it, why you deserve it, why you're committed, you're successful. And a lot of people say, well, it's just not a practical car. Who says? I know people that own 5, 6 luxury vehicles. Even there's people that own 40, 50 luxury cars. And what's practical? Forget all that stuff. Those are all limiting beliefs. We want to eviscerate all these limiting beliefs, folks. We want to get rid of them. Because if they're not in line with the goal that you want and you deserve, then we've got to do that work. So pick the goal, make the decision to have it, convince your subconscious mind, then take the action steps to do it. But it's really just keeping an eye on those limiting beliefs, because you're never going to outperform a limiting belief ever. You'll never have it. And maybe it is in this goal, like, I'm going to be happier. Great. Make the decision, take the action to prove it to your subconscious mind. So how about that for action steps? And Zach, send me your goal, and we'll see how quick that Mercedes hits your door.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Great fire as always, Coach Mike. And
hey,
again,
one other thing, Zach, don't limit it. There's a lot of ways things can happen. Don't feel like in your world, don't feel that there's only one way for you to get that Mercedes. There might be 50 different ways. So just know, when you get in that place of knowing it's going to happen, just be open and receiving. It'll come.
It'll come. All right. Great stuff as always, Coach Mike. And for those of you who are watching, listening, wherever you're consuming this content, if something in today's message resonated with you, then we encourage you to obviously like, subscribe, share this with somebody. Share this with a coworker. Share this with a family member. Share this with somebody who you think, you believe will also resonate with this message. This is a life-changing material right here, and it all begins with making a decision, establishing that belief, and then developing those habits. Coach Mike, as always, thank you so much. And if you have any questions and you want to learn a little bit more about the Anxiety-Free Executive, we have a link at the bottom of this post for you to learn more.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks. Great to be with you as always.
Likewise. Take care.
You too.